And that journey to the space station will take about 28 hours, so they won't arrive until tomorrow afternoon. In the meantime, they will have the opportunity to get out of their suits, to get out of their seats as well, and kind of just enjoy the ride. They're going to shift into some off-duty time. That allows them to prepare any food that they would want to. That allows them to maybe even call down to the ground. They will also obviously get some sleep before a really big day tomorrow, monitoring the arrival and docking to the International Space Station. Of course, we're going to cover all of that live. I'm really looking forward to seeing 2 more crew members float into the orbiting laboratory. And if you're just joining us, we did lift off now at 16 minutes and 29 seconds ago. That was right on time at 1:17 p.m. Eastern Time from Space Launch Complex 40 down at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We have 2 members on board Dragon today. That's NASA astronaut Nick Hague, who's serving as the commander, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov, who's making his very first flight to space. Once they arrive at the International Space Station tomorrow afternoon, they will be joining 9 other crew members on orbit. They'll be up there for about a week. A week is probably the best guess, until the Crew 8 team, it is time for that crew to come home. Of course, they launched about 7 months ago at this point, they will undock after they have completed a handover period with the Crew 9 crew, bringing them up to speed on everything that they've been working on for the last 7 months in orbit. So once they depart, we'll be back down to our typical approximately 7 people living and working aboard the International Space Station.
We are getting really spectacular views from up in space today. Shot there of our MVAC engine. We did get confirmation several minutes ago of SES-1.
And we know that nose cone opening is underway as well. Those are a series of hooks and latches that allow the nose cone to open. And that nose cone is closed during launch to protect the docking hatch, to protect 4 bulkhead thrusters that we will use for some of the larger burns that help us get to the International Space Station.
One of the other things we're doing right now is going ahead and opening the ECLSS system, which stands for the Environmental Control and Life Support System, which will be activated inside of Dragon. As Leah mentioned earlier, soon our crew will be able to get their visors open and get out of their spacesuits and settle in for that 28-hour ride to the International Space Station. Good views there of the opening of Dragon's nose cone on the left-hand side of your screen.
And coming up on 19 minutes since liftoff today, the crew, again, had a good orbital insertion, and that actually puts 14 people currently in low Earth orbit. That includes the those living on the International Space Station right now, as well as those living on the Chinese space station. So a total of 14 humans are now not off the planet, but rather orbiting around it.
More good views from our Dragon nose cone on the left-hand side of your screen, as it very gradually swings open. Obviously, in space, everything we do has an equal and opposite reaction, so slow and steady really wins the race here.
Again, now 20 minutes since liftoff today. Dragon is flying free from the second stage, and it looks like they're about to enter an orbital nighttime. So now that they're at orbital velocity, that's 17,500 miles per hour, they are going to see 16 sunrises and sunsets a day. Again, it was an on-time liftoff at 1:17 p.m. Eastern Time from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, and a clean ride uphill.
We've had some good communication from Mission Control up to our Crew 9 astronauts already today. One of the things you may hear every time we communicate with the crew is a slight beep beforehand. That's called a quindar tone and actually dates all the way back to the early days of human spaceflight and is effectively a radio signal indicating that we're communicating between the crew in orbit and our mission control team on the ground.
We now have views back inside the capsule.
Dragon SpaceX, we have a nominal nose cone opening. We do have just about 3 minutes here left in the ground station pass if you've got any fluffy stowaways you'd like to introduce.
And Freedom copies, good Draco checkout, good nose cone opening. And I just so happen to have a furry friend with me. Yeah, SpaceX Freedom. So yeah, I've got a little Falcon here. I love the package of Falcon 9, Crew 9. Yeah, we've got a Falcon on board with us. This one's a multi-flyer though. Was on my first flight with Alexei and I, and with Alexei and I and Christina. And now me and Alex. So say hello to Aurora.
And we see your Dragon, actually a good view right now because we're looking at the display cam. And Dragon delayed call, but nominal TCS reconfiguration as well as forward bulkhead Draco checkouts.
And Freedom copies, good TCS, good Draco checkouts.
Spectacular views of our Crew 9 astronauts and zero-G indicator up in orbit. Human spaceflight has come so far in the last 5 years with Dragon. Since Demo 2 in May of 2020, SpaceX's Dragon fleet has launched a total of 54 crew members to space. 34 on behalf of NASA and their partners, and 20 commercial astronauts, including the first 2 all-civilian missions to space and the first 3 all-private passenger missions to the International Space Station.
In addition to flying people, excuse me, SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft also enables researchers the opportunity to fly critical science to orbit. And that's just like what we saw with the 3 investigations that NASA's Human Research Program flew on Polaris Dawn. So far, SpaceX and Dragon have carried over 1,000 research experiments to and from low Earth orbit, both to the International Space Station and on our free flyer missions as well.
From DNA sequencing to 3D printing, studies enabled by Dragon and the International Space Station test a variety of technologies, systems, and materials that will be needed for future long-duration exploration missions. Every mission yields critical research and learnings that help make life both on Earth and in space better. And flights like today's help us continue to lay this foundation for our future among the stars and continue our mission to make life multiplanetary.
But for now, we'll be signing off from SpaceX, and we're going to send you back over to NASA. But before we go, we do want to thank NASA for entrusting us with today's mission. And of course, thank you to all of the viewers for being here with us today.
Yeah, it was a really special mission. It was fantastic to see now 2 new crew members in orbit and on the way to the International Space Station. So with that, we're going to end our coverage from Hawthorne until we pick back up with our docking coverage in about 26 hours. So for now, we're going to send it back to you, Zena and Daryl at Kennedy Space Center to wrap up today's launch coverage.
Thank you very much, Leah and Atticus, and welcome back here to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We're just about 25 minutes ago. We watched Crew 9 lift off from Space Launch Complex 40 for the first time with humans at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbunov are now en route to the International Space Station. I'm Daryl Dale, and this is NASA astronaut Zena Cardman, who has been with us for the past 4 hours documenting Crew 9's path from astronaut crew quarters, suiting up all the way to the rocket, lifting off, and then getting into space today. And I got to watch it with Zena in this role. I get to watch oftentimes as we break, go outside and watch a launch with the astronaut. And in this particular case, Zena, with you being the commander from the beginning and then giving up your seat, you and fellow astronaut Stephanie Wilson, so that those seats could be used by Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams to come back. This has a very close association to you, clearly. What was your reaction there when you were watching them lift off into space?
Yeah, Daryl, I think every crewed launch that I have ever watched has really brought me a lot of emotion. This one today was especially unique. I think it was hard not to watch that rocket lift off without thinking, that's my rocket and that's my crew. But I also know that I'm not the only person who can think that. Of course, we have Stephanie Wilson here today, but I mean there are many, many people who made this mission happen, and there are people on orbit who will be taking this capsule home. And it makes me very proud to know that I am one of many people who can say, that's my crew, that's my rocket. Makes me really proud, makes me feel very connected to this mission that we all get to take part of. Go Crew 9.
Well said, Zena. And an emotional moment in time out there watching the rocket lift off. And now the work begins. You will start training for the next mission. You spent 1.5 years training for this one. You're now going to go into space at some point. What does the future hold for you at this point?
Yeah, it's a little bit to be determined. We've got a lot of exciting things ahead. I'm looking forward to starting training again at some point. And in the meantime, I can't wait to watch Nick and Alexander and the entire Expedition 72 crew really get to work and execute that mission that we all have worked so hard to make possible.
Yeah, and Nick and Alexander will become part of Expedition 72, as you mentioned, when they arrive on Space Station. NASA's Megan Cruz has joined us now with Jennifer Buckley, the chief scientist for the ISS program, with more about the science that's happening on board for Expedition 72. Megan.
Yeah, it's great to have Jen here. And Jen, you know, obviously we saw some changes through the mission, most notably the change from a 4 to a 2-person crew. Did any changes affect the science?
Well, the human research is specific to the crew member. So Butch and Sonny have their science complement that will stay with them. But other than that, we didn't have to adjust our science plans. Butch and Sonny are experienced crew members, so they jumped right in and have been helping us already with science on board, and we were able to keep our plan complement.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I know Expedition 72, they're going to be responsible for making a repair on the NICER instrument on the space station. Can you tell us about that instrument, its significance?
That's right. So NICER is an X-ray telescope that's mounted outside of the International Space Station, and it takes a look at neutron stars. Neutron stars are born from the cinders of a supernova event. They are the leftover material that then form neutron stars, and they're going to be repairing a light leak that occurred in May of 2023, which gave us some degraded detectors on that instrument.
Okay, gotcha. And so that's what we're fixing so that hopefully it works tip-top shape?
That's right. So right now with the damage, we still get full data during darkness. However, during sunlight, it degrades the data that we're able to get. And so when they do that repair in December, we'll bring NICER back up to its full capability.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, obviously we as NASA look out into the universe, but also we look back at our own Earth. And for those who don't know, one way that we do that and look at our Earth is we have our astronauts take photos from the International Space Station. And I was told that more photos were taken from the ISS of Earth in the last 6 months than all of 2023.
That's right. So in the first 6 months of 2024, they took over 330,000 photographs.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know, this photography, apart from being absolutely beautiful, is really important science imagery. As you mentioned before, this allows us to take a look at our planet, and we can see how it's changing over time, as well as any environmental impacts. We also support the Disaster Response Network. So we're able to look at natural disasters like wildfires or even hurricanes. So we were involved in taking some imagery of Hurricane Helene as well, and we support other government agencies and provide that data.
Yeah, it's always so important to talk about, yes, the work that we do as we look out into the universe, but also as we reflect here on Earth and see what we can do to improve things for everyone. So Jen, thank you so much. Thanks for detailing the science for us. We'll send it back to our folks there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Megan, and good to be back with you here with NASA astronaut Zena Cardman. We are wrapping up our coverage for today after a successful launch of Crew 9. But before we do, I want to know if you take one more social question.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Let's put it up for us. This is, let's see, Maya, age 10, asks, I want to know, because I want to work there, how is it to work at NASA? I want to be an aerospace engineer when I grow up.
That is awesome. Maya, we can't wait to have you in the NASA family. It's an amazing place to work. I love working in spaceflight, human spaceflight especially, and there are so many different types of people with different backgrounds who work. I love that we can all come together for this common goal coming from such different backgrounds. So all you've got to do is apply, and we'll see you soon.
As a young girl yourself, you probably never imagined that you would be here.
I sure did not.
And you made it happen as well.
That's right. Myself, but most especially all of the mentors and family and friends who made me who I am. Takes a team.
Well said, Zena. Now, as we wrap things up, we want to let you know that though our coverage is coming to a close, you can still follow along with Crew 9's entire journey to the station by listening to the mission real-time audio commentary. Just to do that, you can snap that QR code that you see on the screen there, or if you're watching us on your phone, just screen grab it and you can click on it later.
And if you're just joining us, you've been following along on the launch of NASA SpaceX Crew 9 to the International Space Station. We are 1 day, 3 hours, 39 minutes from docking. Dragon launched 32 minutes, 32 seconds ago from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, ushering in a new pad for human exploration. As NASA wraps up their live coverage, we are going to transition to our mission to the ISS coverage, where we'll be taking you along as we track Dragon to the International Space Station, bringing you full updates along the way, and then full coverage of ISS rendezvous, docking, hatch opening, and the welcome ceremony as NASA astronaut and Russian cosmonaut dock to the International Space Station and have 2 seats open for Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams to finally have a new way home. They'll stay on board until sometime in February when they'll complete the Crew 9 mission. That'll happen when Crew 10 comes up to the International Space Station. Crew 8 still on board ISS will stay there for about a week to 10 days to transition from Crew 8 to Crew 9, but also to give the 2 astronauts on Crew 9 time to train Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams on Dragon operations, as that will be their new safe haven vehicle and what they fly home on, and neither one were actually trained on Dragon. As we get the ISS views back, you can see the station approaching that sun line, coming back into a day pass, but still deep into the night. We'll be keeping these live views on board of station as we have them. They do drop out sometimes with ground stations, but stay with us. We'll also turn into full live station-to-ground communications over the next day and 3 hours, so you can listen to the communications with ISS as they prepare for the arrival of Dragon. A quick programming note, this is the first of a few big launches happening over the next few weeks. On October 4th, we are targeting the second certification flight of Vulcan Centaur, launching from Slick 41. Then just a week later, we're going to have the launch of Falcon Heavy with the incredible Europa Clipper. There's many more missions coming up for the rest of the year, going to make it a historic year of spaceflight. You can stay up to date on the latest developments at tlpnetwork.com/launches. That's where you can see our up-to-date launch calendar, and click on news to stay up to date on the latest space news. If you're interested in becoming part of our crew, consider sending in an application. We're resuming our interviews this upcoming week, so make sure you fill one of those out. And if you just want to be part of an awesome space community, join us over on the TLP Discord. That's where our community hangs out in between streams, and we would love to see you there. If you're watching on one of our 2 countdown or launch coverage streams, these are going to wrap up, but if you're on the live Crew Dragon tracker, that will be staying live all the way through hatch opening and crew welcome in just over a day and 5 hours. From our TLP Space Coast studio, on behalf of the entire TLP crew, thank you so much for being here, and stay with us as we follow Crew 9's journey to the International Space Station. Go Crew 9.
Thank you. This is Mission Control Houston in the International Space Station's Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. We are in continuous mission audio coverage through phasing and docking. The first major burn is the phase burn, which is performed at the first apogee, or the highest point of the initial orbit, and raises Dragon's perigee, or lowest point, to a higher altitude. We are monitoring as we approach the burn in about 2 minutes. This will be the first of 5 burns for Dragon Freedom to match the orbit of the space station. The crew is getting ready for a phase burn. This is where they will fire the engine for approximately 4 minutes and 3 seconds to increase Dragon Freedom's orbital rate by 22.3 meters per second. This will match the orbit of the International Space Station.
Don't confirm it.
And we are on the verge of confirming the burn having been completed. At this point, we are at a loss of signal and will confirm once we regain signal with Dragon Freedom. We are about halfway through the expected burn. More information will follow once we acquire a signal.
SpaceX Dragon, come check on the cabin mic.
Dragon, have you loud and clear on the cabin mic, and delayed call, but looks like nominal burn.
Loud and clear too.
SpaceX Freedom, just letting you know, I'm going to hop out. We just got into the suit doffing procedure, and so we'll both be away from the displays for a little bit, working on getting out of our suits.
Core copies. You're working through 4.012, and I'll be your eyes on the displays.
This is Mission Control Houston, and that was the voice of Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov and NASA astronaut Nick Hague. Crew 9 launched on Saturday, September 28th at 12:17 p.m. Central Time, with nose cone deployment taking place at 12:30 p.m. and 12 seconds. The crew just confirmed that they have completed a phase burn. This is where they fired the engines for approximately 4 minutes and 3 seconds to increase Dragon Freedom's orbital rate by 22.3 meters per second to match the orbital rate of the International Space Station. Additional rendezvous burns of Dragon's engine will be conducted over the next 24 hours to match the altitude of the International Space Station in order to prepare for docking. NASA Plus coverage will resume on Sunday, September 29th at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with an approximate docking time of 4:30 p.m. Central and 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Continuous mission audio will be covered through phasing and docking.
Dragon SpaceX, low priority for timeline.
Freedom's with you.
Dragon, just checking in. Wanted to sync up on timeline. So we show your off-duty period starting at approximately 1905, and that you're currently in the middle of deploying cabin air sensors. We can also support a PMC at any time before you're off-duty when you're ready for that.
Okay, yeah. I think we're probably another 10, 15 minutes here cleaning up suit doffing and changing clothing, and then we can work on deploying the, actually let's step into a PMC after that. So once we get done with the suit doffing, we'll check in with you for PMC, and then we'll talk about doing the cabin temp sensor deploy with some of the time we've got left in the day.
Okay, SpaceX copies. We'll look for a call from you for the upcoming PMC, and then let us know if we're good to come back aboard whenever you're ready.
Copy, definitely not good to come aboard right now.
We copy.
And SpaceX Freedom are finished with suit doffing.
Copy, Dragon. We see the same in telemetry. Let us know when you're ready for the PMC.
Copy that. We're ready to step straight into the PMC. Delta for you. I'm leaving my comfort garments out to dry a little bit longer. Alex is staying in his. And then when we were accessing location 21, one of the 3 quarter-turn fasteners, the dovetail on it snapped off, and so we have that in a trash bag. It is in the open position for that quarter-turn fastener, though, so we can still get the door open and close.
Core copies. One of the location 21 dovetail fasteners snapped off. If you wouldn't mind getting a photo of the configuration just on your tablets for later, and then in orientation of the capsule, is that towards the seats or is that towards the side hatch?
This would be the furthest port, kind of right underneath seat 1, next to the waist fan off button.
Okay, copy. We will get the PMC and work. I'll give you a call when we are in that configuration.
Okay, sounds good. And I'll get a photo of the new config for you.
And Dragon SpaceX, next call you hear will be from Surgeon on Dragon to Ground Private. MD and Core will be joining the call. Dragon SpaceX, Dragon Ground is now public.
Freedom copies.
And Dragon, no response required, but we are about 10 minutes away from a 12-minute LOS.
Copies.